Hello everyone, welcome back to a Cryptic crossword. I've been doing, as you know, the Minute Cryptic daily, more or less, not counting the vacation. And I like Cryptic crosswords. I had done several of them, and that was until I found out the Minute Cryptic existed. It was like, every so often I would do one. And it's nice that the Minute Cryptic is a way to stay engaged with that without having to do a whole big old crossword. But this is lovattspuzzles.com, Lovatts puzzles.com, if you want to try it out. Not sponsored, obviously, just this is a place I have found that does approachable cryptic crosswords, because I'm not an expert or anything. But I've been doing it for a couple years now, I guess. So I'm okay at it. Can we see the whole puzzle in one frame? No. Okay, what am I supposed to do about that? That makes it like this. Okay, yes, you can see all the clues and everything. Lovely. All right, let's turn off the timer. Because you can see how long I've been spending in the video, of course. Just a reminder for how cryptic crosswords work, which I don't bother to repeat in the Minute Cryptic because the reminder takes longer than solving the puzzle some days. It's a crossword. Like an American crossword, you have to fill in the blanks so that the letters make sense both across and down. You have clues. But in a cryptic crossword, each clue gives you the answer in two different ways. I mean, there are like exceptions, but generally speaking, two. Once as an oblique, a definition, usually somewhat oblique, more so than in American crosswords because you don't just have the definition. You have the second clue, which is the wordplay. There's a lot of different things that can count as wordplay, and if you just do enough cryptic crosswords, you get more and more used to them. So typically, but not always, there's an invisible divider somewhere within the clue. On one side of that divider is the definition, and on the other side is the wordplay. Let's get started, I guess. Competent to send cable about personal assistant. Well, so about is often a wordplay word indicating something is written around, i.e. about something else. So if we had competent, it looks like able or maybe even apt. Maybe? And like if you sent cable about something, you could wire, like, I don't know. Like that's a way to come up with 7 letters, but it doesn't quite make sense. Like if you took wire and wrote it like this or something. Oh, I hate the keyboard navigation on this site. It's so annoying. It never does what I want. I wish I didn't have to use the mouse to do stuff, but I do here. So like if Wyaptra were a word that meant personal assistant, we'd be good here because I've sort of taken the wordplay and made some sense of it. But it isn't, so there must be some other thing going on. I don't immediately see any other answers. So let's move on to the next clue. And they do tell you when there are word breaks here. So this is a 5-letter word and then a 2-letter word. Finishes with wild pup wars. Well, wild is a word that could often be an anagram indicator saying rearrange the letters of something. Write the letters in a wild way, right? And pup wars is 7 letters, which is the total we need. So that's a good place to start. And indeed, if you anagram pup wars, you can get something that means finishes with, or finishes. Maybe with is just a linking word. It wraps up. Means, that's pup wars. So now we have some letters to work with. Why, sir? Listen to those more astute. So listen, yeah. I don't know what they call this kind of clue. I call it a homophone clue, where you're supposed to like, they hint it with, they say, oh, you know, audible or oral or listen or sound or something. Like, you're supposed to mishear something. And in this case, wiser sounds a bit like wiser, which means more astute, or those more astute, perhaps. Louis or Louis, I believe. Well, Louis, you'd only spell that way if it were French, right? Whereas in English, American English, this would be Louis, right? Nobody spells Louis this way, I think. But there was like a famous Louis guy, right? Louis Armstrong, right? Did he spell it with an... I thought it was an E, but I could be wrong. Anyway. Louis, the trumpet-playing astronaut. Oh, well, actually, Armstrong does look right, doesn't it? Because there was an astronaut named Armstrong and a Louis, the trumpet player, named Armstrong. There we go. Easy enough. So in this case, the definition and the word... This is like what's called a double definition clue, where the wordplay is just another definition. So that's allowed. Heads off, so this often means remove the first letter of something. When Tess is out and out. Or maybe it could mean just take the first letter. Heads can mean like the first letter of something. Heads off could be like says bye, like maybe. But I have no idea how that would relate to when Tess is out and out. Nothing occurs to me immediately here. Indication of self-sympathy, half sympathy, read the letters, for Tom. Symptom? A symptom is an indication of something. Half of sympathy is simp, and then we have Tom. Yeah, that looks right. Heads off. Sets off? Well, that uses some of the letters from Tess, right? Yeah, sets off. You head off if you set off. And when Tess is out, out is another anagram indicator that's used with some regularity. I don't really know like how you justify, why would out mean anagram, but it does. You know, something out is broken or something like that. I don't know exactly. But if we take Tess and made it out, we might just have sets. And something that's out, if you go out, you go off. No? Oh, it probably actually sets out. That makes more sense. You're right. Yeah. Why did it scroll out of view? What did I do that made it scroll there? I don't remember. First toot on horn is a prickle in my side. The first letter of toot is T. Now if we put that on, i.e. in front of horn, we get thorn. And a thorn in your side is a prickle in your side. Pinto. Is this pimento? Yeah, it must be. Pinto goes all round me for allspice. So if we took the word pimento and wrote it around the word E... Did I say the word pimento? If we take the word pinto and write it around M-E, we get pimento, which I guess is allspice. Inside Crete, a fort worthy of providing supper for a couple. What the hell? A fort. Also, inside, in this case, it could be a hidden indicator. I'm not sure how. So, yes. This is correct. So if you look inside of the phrase, Crete a fort worthy, you find T for 2, which is supper for a couple. Well, let's keep looking at things I have crosses for, I guess. Forgives for leaving and hands over. So leaving here is telling me to take away for from forgives. So if you had forgives but for were leaving, you would just have gives, which means hands over. GI overt about dizziness. Well, that one is pretty straightforward. About is, have the letters and just scatter them about. Write them anagrammed. Anagrams are common in at least beginner cryptics like this one. And dizziness is a vertigo, so if we anagram GI overt, we should get vertigo. Sound like an owl. Well, that should be hoot. And get Santa Claus starting to cheer madly? Well, Santa Claus starting would be maybe SC? Huh. I don't know. Sound like an owl. Like who should be in there somehow, right? Hoot? And then we can have like shoot. But then how do you finish it? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Somehow dam stream in Dutch city. Well, this must be Amsterdam, I imagine. It's a Dutch city. It's the right length. There's a dam in it. I guess dam stream must be an anagram for Amsterdam. Amsterdam. Indeed it is. So somehow, I guess, is an anagram indicator here. You took the words in dam stream and just wrote them somehow. You could arrive at Amsterdam. Top secret lender to the Queen is Slimmer. So, I don't know how old, do they really write a new cryptic every day? I don't know how this site works. Does this cryptic know that Elizabeth's been dead for a while? I'm not sure. A thing you needed to know if you were going to do cryptic crosswords that were not strictly Americanized is that ER meant the Queen, Elizabeth Regina. Regina? I don't actually know how you pronounce it. I think it was Regina, though. It's confusing because there's a town in Canada that's spelled that way, and it's pronounced differently from the Queen, I think, and I can't remember which is which. I think the one in Canada is Regina. I don't know, maybe Regina. It's a mystery. Anyway, it's Latin, ruling queen or something. And so the Queen makes me think ER here. But that might not apply anymore. I don't know. Or it might be a different kind of... It might not... There's other things the Queen could be. Slimmer. I don't know. So sad. Coming up with fizzy drinks. I just get so depressed, all I can do is think about fizzy drinks. I do enjoy the surface readings of cryptic clues. They're usually silly. So sad coming up. Well, that is 5 letters long, and if you wrote so sad coming up, you could write it backwards. But that would be dasos, which doesn't mean anything. However, what you could do is you could write so, and then write sad coming up, which would be DAS. And that gives you sodas, which are fizzy drinks. Still don't know this. Saint leaves dentist with 2/3 new component of teeth. Well, Saint is ST. And if ST left dentist, we would have denty. Now, what is the end of this? 2/3 new component? 2/3 of new is NE, and a component of teeth is dentine. Started off as decidedly economical, neat industrial material. I don't know. Ma'am loses a moth. It's colossal. So exclamation points often indicate a type of clue called an and lit, where the entire clue is wordplay, and literally the entire clue is a definition. Or I don't know exactly how you work, why it's called and lit, but I think it's because it's like the wordplay and also literally the definition. So the whole clue is both parts rather than there being a divider between them. You're meant to use every word twice. I don't know if an exclamation point must indicate that. I don't know what the rules are for cryptic crossword constructors, but a lot of the time it's that way. So I'd like to look at that. Ma'am loses a moth. It's colossal. Well, if ma'am lost a, it would be ma'am. And then moth is just moth, and we get colossal. Mammoth means colossal. So in this case, I don't think this was an andlet at all. I don't understand why the exclamation point is allowed to be there. But whatever. I figured it out anyway. Started off as decidedly economical, neat. Oh, is this denim? It is. Started off. Yeah. Well, I actually don't quite get this. Where's the definition? Because the wordplay is, if you take the starts of the letters, decidedly economical, neat, industrial, material, you get DENIM, which is denim. But where's the definition? I could almost believe, like, you could put an exclamation point on this one, and I'd be like, yeah, I guess that's fair enough. Because, the whole thing is wordplay, and then you could argue the whole thing is definition. Yeah, it's an economical, neat, industrial material. It started off that way anyway, right? Like, that's denim. I don't know why they're allowed to write this without an exclamation point, because I can't find the definition. Materials definition. I guess, okay, so that's another... Apparently, the rules for cryptics are less strict than I was led to believe when I was first starting them, doing mostly New York Times cryptics. They don't do those anymore. And they deleted their archive, something I will never forgive them for. But, sometimes people comment on these videos and they're like, actually, this kind of thing is allowed. And one kind of thing people have told me is like, look, there doesn't have to be a strict divider between the two. That's just like a common way to do things. And so here, like, okay, I guess you can say the whole thing is the wordplay and then, some subset of it is the definition, I guess. I guess that's allowed. So what is this? Slimmer. Slenderer. That means slimmer. Top secret lender. I guess the top letter of secret is an S, and then we get lender, which is just lender. And then to the queen is ER. See, I told you have to know this stuff to do British crosswords. And this website is pretty good about not, being heavily British baked. But some stuff like the queen is so common that they let it in, I guess. Sound like an owl. Is this stretch? Nope. Screech. Sure, there are screech owls. So Santa Claus starting would be SC, and then cheer madly could be reach if you wrote it madly in the wrong order. Yeah, that's fine. So that's a nice thing about cryptic crosswords, by the way, is generally speaking, you don't get into a situation where you have to fill in a clue and then come back and see if the crosses work. Because, there's a lot of things where in an American crossword, there are just two valid ways to fill in a clue. If they ask you what, I can't think of an example, but there's two synonyms for a word, and they're both 5 letters long, and you just don't know which one it is. And so you fill it in, and there are going to be 5 crosses, and one of them will tell you which, right? There are fewer crosses here, lots more blank spaces. And so you don't always have as many check letters. And often many letters aren't checked at all, right? So you could never tell what this is from the crosses. And that's because the clue itself always provides a check. A way for you to, if you find the wordplay, you say, okay, well, what's the definition? Or you find the definition, you say, okay, how do I justify this with wordplay? And if you can get the same answer 2 different ways, you can be pretty sure it's right. You don't need any crosses. The crosses are just there to help you with ones where you haven't figured it out yet without any crosses. You don't need them to confirm an answer. Linked card game with dominoes initially. Well, dominoes initially is D, and the thing ends with D, so that's promising. Card game. Well, bridge is a card game, and if you linked 2 things, you bridged them. Rewrite tales, e.g., about baby birds. This is very strange. So e.g., meaning it's Latin. I don't, meaning for example. I remember learning to think of it as example given, but that's not actually what it stands for. You're supposed to write that with periods. And for a long time, I didn't. I was like, why would anyone write periods here? They know what I mean. I finally gave up and started putting periods in there because people thought I was stupid. But you are supposed to write it with periods, and it's strange the crossword has written it without them here. I don't know what that means. Huh. Actually, you know what? We have some time. Let's go look up what EG stands for. Exempli gratia, for example. Okay, sure. I can't pronounce Latin, forgive me. I'm sure that was wrong somehow, but... Tales, e.g. about baby birds. Tales, e.g. about baby birds are chicks. To rewrite is to edit. Tales, e.g. about baby birds. I don't know. Cab found inside mare? It's quite ghoulish. Yeah, that would be gross, wouldn't it? Well, if we just take cab and write mare around it, we get macabre, which is ghoulish. 150 Romans. Bet you $1 million that's CL. Have gin cocktail to hang on. So if you made the letters in gin a cocktail and stirred them up, you could end up with ing. And you get cling, which means to hang on. So people have asked at least once in the comments of my videos, what do you mean such and such is an anagram indicator? How do you know that? I've never in my life seen cocktail used as an anagram indicator, right? I didn't know, oh yeah, of course, I've got a dictionary in my head of 300 words that can mean anagrams. You just have to is there something around here that you want to anagram? Yes, I'd love to anagram gin. Is there some excuse? Sure, cocktail, I could claim, means you want to shake things around. That's anagramming. That's sort of how loosely these things are defined. I don't think there is anywhere a list of all the words that mean anagram indicators, because constructors can make them up if they're convenient, and you can kind of imagine them changing the order of something somehow. Uplifting, when we hear Ray sing, well, I imagine if you are uplifting something, you are raising it. And if you heard raising, you might think they said Ray sing. Cooked, this looks like marinates or something? Cooked in deer maws, spicy liquids. Marinades are spicy liquids. And if you cooked, i.e. changed the letter order, like as in to cook the books, in deer maws, you would get marinades. Rewrite tales. E.g. Well, maybe rewrite is the anagram indicator and tails E.g. is what we're anagramming. Eaglets are baby birds. And tails, e.g., uses the letters from eaglets. Jewish temple for silly young sage. Well, synagogue is a Jewish temple. How can we justify that? Well, young sage uses the letters from synagogue, and if you write them down silly, they could come out in the wrong order. Great. This is probably an E, right? Dug out cave taxed for a change. This looks like excavated, right? Is that what the letter X? Cav. At, ed, yeah. I think so. Yeah, cave taxed for a change. So if you change the letters in cave taxed, you could get excavated, which means dug out. Boo, King Lear starts to get over bibliophile. Oh, I shipped them so hard, King Lear and that bibliophile. I'm so mad they're getting over each other. Boo, King Lear starts. It looks like book lover starts to get over. So I guess it is book lover, and I'm trying to justify it. I guess we're just looking at the starts to King and Lear. So we first write out Boo, then we get the starts to King and Lear. And then this gets, i.e. has added to it, the word over, which is a book lover, and that's a bibliophile. Firstborn Abel finds site of biblical tower. That must be Babel. It's easy enough to justify. The first letter of born is B, and then we just write in Abel. And Babel is the site of a biblical tower. B blank C. That's exciting. It must be I? Crab mixed with ice is sharp and sour. That must be acerbic, an anagram of crab plus ice. Acerbic, yes. How about this one? Competent. Well, now this looks like Abel. Capable. Capable? If you're competent to do something, you're capable. And I guess if you take just the letters, I was thinking of writing cable as wire and writing it around something, but if you say C-A-B-L-E and write it around P-A, which can mean personal assistant, you get capable, which means competent. Immerse in water beforehand to semi-preserve oak. Well, this must be pre-soak. That's immersing in water beforehand. And with the wordplay, we justify it. Yeah, you just take semi, i.e. half of the word preserve, getting pres, and then write in oak. I like to justify it before I write it in because this site fills things in green when you're correct. You can turn that off, but I don't mind leaving it on. But I do like to, when possible, convince myself before I write it in. Type of music suitable for a judge's private room? Chambers? Chamber music? Yeah. Chamber is a type of music, and judge's private room is a chamber. So that's simple enough. Just a double definition, I think. Scrapes up? That must be rakes, right? Scrapes up after Drake's been beheaded. Yeah, if we just took Drake and beheaded him, we'd drop the D and we just have rakes. Nice. Pretty straightforward cryptic crossword today. Not setting any records, but that's okay. What is about, by the way? Just okay, what a cryptic crossword is. And that's today's cryptic crossword. I mentioned it was lovetspuzzles.com. Specifically, I did the Wednesday, January 22nd puzzle, so that'll be available for the next 7 days if you want to try it yourself. Although if you're at the end of the video, you're probably spoiled on it, and I should have told you beforehand. I mean, you could have figured it out just from looking at the screen before I clicked on today. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.